it's kind of a small market, so I was wondering if maybe you knew anything about Wilmington, Delaware.
Wilmington, Delaware. Let me do a quick look here and see. Do we have any Wilmington, Delaware on the site right now? Give me 1 second. Tell me about what are you thinking? You live in Wilmington?
My sister just bought a house, and it's right in the middle of the city, right in downtown, and it was only $75,000. And which you can't really get that in most cities. But the thing is Wilmington never really revitalized from the 90s like most cities did. So they're trying to revamp the area. They have this new thing called Market Street, which is kind of their main street. And they're putting a bunch of new apartments there and condos and getting, trendy restaurants like Starbucks, Panera Bread, and such. And I don't know. I was just wondering if maybe if you knew about it, if you thought you did have a chance to revitalize, or if it's just a waste of time.
We are in the process of doing an analysis of Wilmington. They're going to give it to me in a minute, so I'm going to banter with you and just kind of get a feel for your situation, and then in a matter of moments, I will be able to give you some more details on that. So tell me, if you're thinking about making some investments there, because you're thinking the right things, by the way. The question is if a market is cheap, but now it's catching on, like what's the deal, right? Is there an opportunity there? Starbucks is an interesting indicator, because they pretty much go anywhere and everywhere, but they don't pull out. And so, they've got some people that have a lot of research data that says that not only is this a place where there's enough population and there's enough demand for $6 coffee, but the hipsters may be coming. Like there's a youth, and hipsters are good, man. Hipsters, they go into neighborhoods that need to be turned around. They like the edginess of it all. Are you by any chance a hipster, John Michael?
Maybe a little.
Do you have a man bun, John Michael?
No, I do not.
Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of research on this right now. Andrew, you give me the flag when you're ready here. Okay, cool. So would you be doing this as a long-term play? Like what stage of your life are you in right now? How old are you?
Yeah. No, I'm young. I'm 26 right now.
Great.
Yeah, no, I just want to rent it out, really. Just make some passive money if I can.
Okay, that's awesome. That is the way to do it. So I've got a portfolio that I'm about to pull up right now. Here it is. All right, so I'm going to pop this up on the screen and talk it over with you. So here is, it's showing up as Delaware secondary market, but it is in Wilmington, and I'm going to go to the market data. So what do we see here? Interesting. Okay, so Newcastle County, Delaware. Is that the county that you're talking about?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So you see, again, the blue line is the United States. And it's interesting because it kind of, both the state of Delaware and Newcastle County started off really close to where the country started off back in 1998. And it kind of rode a very similar trajectory. It got a little steeper than the rest of the country. And so it had the party, but not as bad of a hangover. Look at that. Like it didn't come down as deep. Where if you look at where they started, it was very close. You look at where it peaked, it's also pretty close. And then where it troughed is substantially higher than the rest of the country. And so that's an interesting thing. That's the kind of thing that makes you ask, okay, so now what's going on there that made it? There's only a few places in the country that this chart reminds me of, and DC is the big one. So how far away is Wilmington from DC?
It's about an hour and a half, but it's really close to Philly. It's 45 minutes and a train ride to Philly.
Interesting, because when you start getting into the upper Midwest, the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, you've got a lot of big cities that are populating that coastline coming down, or a little bit inland. So New York, Philly, DC. You got Baltimore tucked in there. The smaller cities that are in between the big cities sometimes get elevated and lifted by those big cities, because the big cities are expensive. People and companies want to move a little bit further out. So like a company that moved out of DC or out of Philly might go 45 minutes out, which means now an hour and a half out is commutable to that company. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And Wilmington is most companies actually have their capital in Wilmington because of the tax rate, as well as a lot of people are moving into the state because people from Pennsylvania, they don't want to pay Pennsylvania's taxes. So they just come right across the border and take the train up.
That's really cool. So that's interesting. So there's the two-step, right? So company moves out of a major metro, people can commute a little bit further out. It kind of extends the reach of that metro area. What you've got is DC coming from one direction, Philly coming from the other, and you're right smack in the middle up there. But if it's more advantageous tax-wise, then you got to look at, if you're investing in the market, like I've been saying, right? It's the house is secondary, or the property is secondary to the place. The place is in competition with other places. So how does it stack up, right? So when you've got a place that's drivable, like people leaving New York and going to Florida, that's a big haul. You have to move, you have to pack up, you've got to fly, you're away from your family. But when you've got a place that's drivable to those major metros, it almost kind of fills in the gap. Like you've got two bookends, DC and Philly, and they're squeezing in towards the middle. That could be what explains that this chart is just identical to the way DC looks. And DC, New Yorkers think that New York's the center of the universe, but actually DC probably is. And the way that market performs, where this market had all the fun, not that much of the hangover, and has maintained a 4% annual appreciation rate for the last 20 years, which is above the national average. And the yields on this particular property, which is just one property we analyze, is in the 5s. So again, like I said before, you wind up in the mid-9s. But I like it. Based on what you told me, I like it. I'm going to dig in a little bit more. But it's kind of the fundamentals, which is what I focus on, that we just talked about. This is attractive. I'd never seen this chart until now because I never focused on that market. And there's a lot to like on this.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone seems to forget about it, but it's getting a lot of attention recently from people who are getting priced out of the bigger cities, like you said.
You know what I would do? If you wanted to go and spend some time with your sister and do some hands-on, boots on the ground research, the kind of things you can do is do a Google search. I'm going to do it right now on the screen. I'm going to go to Google, and you can set an alert for the term Wilmington, Delaware approves. Okay, Wilmington, Delaware approves, and you see what shows up. The budget is approved. The city council approved $126 million. That's the budget again. Zoning approves a landmark plan to consolidate 5 Wilmington schools. This is where, look at this, Delaware approves $3.4 million in grants in downtown development. When you see a lot of results for approves, what you're seeing is a government that is giving the green light to companies and developers to do things. So read these, right? They will probably have planning board meetings, review board meetings, whatever they call it there, where people who are either elected or appointed get to decide if things are going to get approved. You can show up for those. They can be boring, but if you're a real estate geek and you're getting excited about this, they can be really cool. Where you're there, like when I talked about in Charlotte how there was a train station, I got a whiff of them proposing a train station. So you could do Wilmington, Delaware proposes also. They proposed a train station. I went and found the website for the Belmont Planning Board. I read the minutes of the meetings where they were looking at this and when they were ultimately going to vote on it. And I didn't go, but I paid close attention. I knew what date it was going to happen to be voted on. And then it got voted on and it got approved. So that's the kind of thing that literally nobody's doing, right? I mean, so you're not competing with Wall Street people that have all the best data on what stocks to buy. You're getting a sort of clued into a market that might be popping. Then you show up, and if you detect that the government is pro-development, that they know they've got something special and they want to try to capitalize on it, and they want to encourage development to make the quaint town get a foodie lifestyle, get cool restaurants, hip restaurants coming in. If they're doing those things, you could be the guy in the room that sees the way the planning board responds to those kinds of proposals, get a sort of human intelligence on what's happening there that can inform your investment decision, and you could be one of a handful of people that actually know it.